Hello everyone and welcome to class training today. I'm just waiting a few more seconds for a few more people to filter in, and in case anyone is having any issues connecting to audio, in case there's anyone with us today who hasn't used this software before. Okay, I'm trying to waffle on and take up as many seconds as I can. Starting to struggle with that now, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Samuel Martin. I'm on the ICT team here at CLCs Australia. I'm presenting your class training for you today. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge country and the different traditional owners of the lands of this vast continent and collection of islands, over 500 different nations. I'm currently on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I myself have connection to the lands of the Awabakal people. However, all of the First Nations peoples of these lands deserve our respects, and I'd like to take this chance to pay those respects now. I'd like to make special mention of elders, whether they be past, present, or emerging, and I'd like to note that these lands were never ceded, and that sovereignty has never been extinguished. Okay, let me introduce our facilitator for today. With us today is Oliver Moore, also on the ICT team here at CLCs Australia. Hi, Oliver.
Hi, Sam. Hi, everyone. Welcome to training for today. I just thought we'd talk through a quick little bit of housekeeping. Firstly, this software doesn't let you unmute, so you can submit questions you have through the questions section in the control panel. So anything you think of as we're going along, shoot it in there and I'll answer those for you as we go. And also that this session is being recorded. So if you're having trouble keeping up or you think you want to look at it later, it'll be available on our website in about a week.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so today is a bit of an advanced session, not a session for beginners. There are plenty of familiar names in the list here today though, so that's good. So we're going through user management and admin tools. So our class uses everything to do with how to handle them, and then a bunch of the tools for class administrators that we have in class. Quick overview of this session. As I was just saying, user management. So then some of the admin tools we'll be going over today are the audit logs, center configs, email servers. We won't actually be talking about mass email, so ignore that one. And then a bunch of other stuff. The bulk insert is an interesting one. Client merge, also interesting. Okay, so users, when it comes to our staff, and we need to add them to class so that they can work in it for us. The first thing to take note of is security. We store confidential client information in class, so that needs to be kept secure. We can't stress security enough. It's critically important. So that is a role for class administrators, making sure that you know who has access to your instance of class, and making sure that you remove access to anyone who might leave your center, go and leave anything like that. Okay, so we'll talk about creating users, their roles and permissions, how to reset passwords for someone if you need to do that, and then removing accounts through a couple of different ways. Okay. If anyone was interested in taking a screenshot of today's session, I would recommend this one. This is probably the key slide of our presentation today. So there's a couple of really valuable little tips. So when you're creating users, I'll show you in a minute. It's not super intuitive, so I will show you how it works. The tip is to go to workers, not users. I'll mention that in just a minute. And then for the roles, so there are 4 main roles, and I will show you those in just a bit. Okay, so let's actually now go and have a look at what we're talking about. So here's class. I've just logged in. So when we want to do anything with users, we come down to the bottom left and click System Settings. I'm just going to zoom just a little bit. People seem to think that that looks a bit better. Okay, so once we click on System Settings, we get user accounts. So let's click on there. So as I was saying before, if you need to create users, don't do that. If you're managing users, you would click on user accounts. I'm going to close that. If you want to create a new account for a new employee, you go to workers, not users. That's one of the key tips for today. So click on workers. I know this is not super intuitive. If you just try to keep that in mind when you're creating workers, when you're creating users for class, you click on workers, not users. So I guess the reason for that is that we've got a bit of a separation there between workers and users. We at CLCs Australia recommend that all centres add people to the list of workers, not necessarily having access to a user account, but to the list of workers, everyone, so people like the people on your board, any tradesmen that might come into your office who may be walking past a screen that may have class open with confidential client information on it. We recommend adding all of them as workers to the system for conflict check purposes. If you do add them, they will turn up in conflict check, which may save you vacant at some stage. Okay, so if you want to create a new worker account, put someone into the system, you simply click new. It's fairly self-explanatory there. And then you would just run through the steps. So you can add whoever you like, whether that be someone on your board, tradies, someone like that. You just give them a name. This name may be familiar to some of you. Okay, you can give them a position if you want to. This one's a board member. Ignore, this is not going to make a bunch of sense, but I'm just kind of doing a bit of a demonstration here. And then you can fill in whatever details you like. If you've got emergency contact details for the person, if you add those to your system, do that. The email address, as we can see there, is required. And you can only use each email address for one class account. I'm just really going to really quickly add one of my email addresses. And while I do that, here's a little bit of a tip for you. If you want multiple accounts with class, we don't recommend that. It is possible though. So I have a Gmail account. It's a work account, but it's with Gmail. I don't know what I'm up to. I think it's about that. Anyway, if you add that plus and then a number, what class will do is it will ignore that. It completely ignores all of that, the plus sign and anything after it. And it will just send all of the emails for this account to that email address minus the plus and whatever is after the plus. So there's the little trick for creating multiple accounts in class. This is what we do on the help desk because we need to. Again, we don't really recommend people have multiple accounts for class. That's a little tip for you there though. Okay, that's about it for creating a worker. If you just click save and close, actually I probably shouldn't have clicked save and close. If you could click just save and leave it open. That adds this person as a worker. So that's someone on our board, and they're now added to our system as a worker. They won't have access to class. They don't have a class account. We've just got a record of them in class, again, for conflict check purposes. Okay. I'm now just trying to find that account I just made. Okay, so for all the other people, like your staff members who you need to actually use class, once you create the account and click save, probably rather than save and close like I just did, apologies for that, we've got it open again now. Once you need to create a system login for them so they can access the system and use it. This is kind of a little bit obvious. We've got a big old button there with a nice yellow symbol there, create system login. If you click on that, you can then create a system login for your employee so they can access class. Okay, now a couple of things to go through here. So this is kind of all the information we've added here. You could tick this locked button. You would only do that if you wanted this person to not have access to class. If you're setting up an account, that wouldn't make much sense. The next thing to, I'll go through all of these login credential things. The authentication type, you should probably leave as site default. I really highly do not recommend changing that. And the security policy, again, leaving it as default. If there are other options in there, I would recommend ignoring those and leaving it as default. When it comes to the username, you will need a unique username. So each username can only be used once in class, and that is not just for your instance of class. The usernames can only be used once across every instance of class that there is. So if you're trying to set up a username and it's taken, it may be that another center has that username, so you'll have to find something else. Obviously, what people do is use the email address. That's pretty common. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can use whatever username you want. They can be changed in the future as well if you like, but they do need to be, excuse me, unique. Okay. I'm just going to flick back to my little slide here. 4 main roles. Okay, so they are volunteer, general user, admin, and admin advanced. Let's go and have a look at those right now. Okay, so if we scroll to the bottom of this page, we get the user permissions. And our first column here is roles. I'll go through the right name and the excluded right name in just a minute. But as I was saying, the 4 main roles are, and as you can see, there's a long list of them. Your list may look different to this, but generally the 4 main ones are volunteer, general staff access, and there are the 2 admin ones, admin and admin advanced. Now, as you could see there, when I ticked volunteer, that took quite a while to load. Those spinning wheels spun for quite a while. If you are trying to change a role for someone, what you would do is untick the role they've got and then wait. Don't jump ahead, wait for those spinning wheels to stop, and then you can select the new role for them and save the account, save and close the account, whatever you like. Okay, so we can actually customize these by using our add-ons. So at the top of this list, we've got a whole bunch of add-ons here. So an example you might have is that you want someone to have general staff access, and I'm not sure of a great example of this. Maybe you want them to have, maybe you need this person to give you a hand with accountability or reports or something like that. So you could give them the same access as all your other general staff users, but then give them access to little other bits of functionality in class, like all of these things. Anything that says add-on, you can add that to any of those main roles. I'll just give me a moment. I'm just going to show you the admin roles. Also, if anyone wanted to know exactly what is available in each of these 4 main roles, let us know at the help desk, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of this session. We do have the lists, and we will be happy to forward them to you. Okay, so with the class admin and class admin advanced, there is a slight difference. The admin advanced has slightly higher permissions than the class admin. The class admin role is restricted a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. Class admin advanced shouldn't need any of the add-ons. So if you've got class admin advanced ticked, you should have access to the full class system. I have seen a few accounts that have class admin advanced and accountability ticked. So you might need to tick that one add-on. I'll go scroll back up and find it. That one add-on for the class admin advanced role if you need access to accountability. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to go over is something we come across pretty regularly. This is another pretty good tip for you. Occasionally we find accounts or people will contact us and say, my account's not working right. And what we find is that they might have something like class admin advanced ticked, and then maybe general staff access will be ticked as well. So what we find is that 2 of those 4 main roles will be ticked, or occasionally more. Don't know if I've ever seen more than 2, but anyway. Occasionally we will find accounts with this kind of setup. 2 of those 4 main roles are ticked. I suspect what happens is maybe someone's got general staff access and then someone decides, well, we need to make this person a class administrator now. They've gone up a role. So they just come in and tick that box and think, oh, good, they've now got access to everything they need. Unfortunately, that doesn't quite work right. Computers aren't smart enough, and this system's definitely not smart enough to figure that out. So this confuses the system. If you do this, if you tick 2 of those 4 main roles, that will confuse the system and it will actually default to the lower level of access. So if you do have troubles with your system, with a particular class account, and you think it's not set up right, that you should have access to more than you do, that may be it. The tip here is to make sure that you've only got 1 of those 4 main roles ticked. And that should clear up your account and give you the access to what you do need. Okay, so moving on to this column here, the right name. If we have a look in here, we see all of the permissions that we have for this particular role. So we've just got the class admin advanced ticked. Yeah, no, I don't tick that. Okay, so here's all of the things that this role, that this user account has access to. So there are some centers who want to give people something like general staff access, but then actually remove the ability to do things like delete a client. It's a classic example. Let's just pretend that this account has general staff access, but we don't want this particular person deleting any clients. You could untick that and then save and close that account, or save it, whatever you do. And then if we did that, you would see that that particular permission would appear here under the excluded right name. In fact, I'll actually do it because I'm just going to delete this account later anyway. Funny that. Anyway, so that's how these 2 columns work. You can actually remove some of the permissions from these roles. So if you untick something from this column, it will display in this column the excluded right name. Please don't ask me why that column is called that, or titled that. Anyway, okay, that hasn't worked. Why not? Let me just close that and see if I can demonstrate that. I'll now drop into the user accounts, and as I was saying before, this is how we edit accounts. So going back to kind of database basics, creating. We just created account. So now if we need to edit an account, we can do that. If you want to do that, that's when you click on the user accounts. So just open that same account, and there we can now see in the excluded right name column, we have something in there, and that will be that delete clients. So this account doesn't have the ability to do that. So that's kind of it with creating accounts and the roles and permissions. Let me just skip back because there's a whole bunch of stuff I still need to go through. Resetting passwords. Let's go and have a look at that. Okay, So this person has forgotten their password for whatever reason. We need to reset their password. It may be pretty plainly obvious to most of you how you do that. You just come to user accounts, open your user account and click on reset password. And then if you just click yes, that will send an email to the email address for this account. Your user should then be able to follow the steps in the email that they receive to reset their password and change their password. We occasionally do get issues with this. It's a bit of a finicky system. If you're trying to reset a password and you have issues with it and it's not working, please contact us at the help desk and we'll get that fixed up for you. We do occasionally get issues with that. And then changing usernames, as I said before, that is available to you. If you've put a typo in someone's email address, you can just click on there, change username, put your new username in, save and close, and your user will have their new username. I didn't demonstrate that because it's pretty self-explanatory. That's basically it for resetting passwords. That's how you do it. Terminating and deactivating accounts. Okay. So if someone, for whatever reason, if you need to remove access to class for an individual, you can do that. There's a number of different ways to do it, actually. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got this big active tick box, checkbox, whatever it is. If you untick that and then click save, that user will no longer have access to this class account. They won't be able to log in. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm kind of wasting time. Excuse me. I'm just going to reactivate that account. If you really do want to make sure that that person really definitely can't get access to that account, what you can do is click on terminate the account. And here we get this saying here, if you want to temporarily cease this user access to the system, best to cancel out of this and use the active checkbox. That will stop this person from having access to the system. Terminating accounts is not really necessary, but if you want to do that, it's there for you. What this does is that it adds a whole bunch of stuff to the username. So this kind of stuff, terminated, it'll give it a number. That might be like the date or something it adds. It'll give it an underscore, and then it just adds the email address on the end of it. So then if someone is trying to log in with their username, johnsmith@gmail.com, they're not going to have access to this system because this username is now technically that, and they're never going to be able to guess that. Now, I'm just going to say no here. You can terminate accounts if you want. If you really triply want to make sure that no one can get access to this system, what you would do is change the username to something like gibberish. Then you would terminate the account. That way, no one could possibly ever. That would give you the least likelihood of that person being able to access that account then. Okay, so we've got a few ways to remove people from class. As I said before, this active checkbox will keep people from getting access to class. So we recommend using that as your first step, but you do have those other options. Okay, so that's pretty much it for user management. So we'll head on to the admin tools in just a moment. I might stop really briefly and ask Oliver if we've got any questions about user management.
Sorry, having some trouble unmuting there. So we have one question, which is if you terminate an account, does that mean they will no longer show in a conflict check?
No. I think the answer to that is that if you terminate an account, they should still appear in your conflict search results, conflict check searches. The reason for that is that the conflict check is pretty powerful. It checks all the names. So it'll check this first name, the last name. If you change those, then you might have issues with your conflict checks. So I'd recommend leaving the names as they are if you want this person to continue to appear in your conflict check results. Any other questions, Oliver?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, that was the wrong one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now we're talking about the admin tools, and we're starting with audit logs, as you can see there. Just a quick demo of what I'm talking about before we start. I'm just going to close a few tabs. So we'll go through a few of these things. So I've got the system settings down the bottom left, and then there's a whole bunch of things here. We're not going through all of this today. Some of this has to do with customization. Mainly, this is what we'll be talking about, these tools here. These are our admin tools, and we'll be going through all of those today. Before we do start on those, I want to go through a couple of other things just quickly. Things that administrators can do, things like finding out what happened in class through your audit logs. You will find that some of these are more useful than others. Let's go and find out why. So we're in system settings, and we've got these audits right here. If you click on that, we'll find that there are 4 of them. We can split this in half. We've got our user authentication log and our user session log. Those are pretty similar. And then the exception log and the data audit log are also pretty similar. Let's start with the user authentication log. This will show you who logged in and when. So as soon as I open that, we can see that this account here, which is the account that I'm currently logged into, was allowed into the system, this system here on this date and time, which is today and about half an hour ago. And there's my IP address. If any of this means anything to any of you, that's great, it means nothing to me. I do see, yeah, no, I can't figure any of that out. We're going to see a lot more of that pretty soon. How can I demonstrate this? Okay, if you want to find someone, if you don't want to go scrolling through 79 pages of results, you could just have a quick search here. I'm sure Reese won't mind me using him as an example. So you can just do a search on the, on the username, and it will give you the results. And these are the things that we can find out with that audit log there. That's the user authentication log. So we've also got the user session log, and I'm hoping, and I think that this gives you a little bit more information. So this one will tell you when a user logged in, when they logged out. We can see here our friend Oliver logged in yesterday at that time and out on that time, and there's the duration. Not sure how accurate some of this is. You may be able to find information in there if you're looking for it. If you do find some information and think that it may not look quite correct, please contact us on the help desk. And again, you can search for whatever you like there. Let's use the same example. Okay, so that's the user session log. Again, pretty similar to the user authentication log. Now as for the data audit log and the exception log, I might start with the data audit log. So with this one, you can find out what happened in class. Okay, so let's just focus on this top row in this set of results. So we can see that the user is me. That's my username there. And we can see today at 2:52, 7 minutes ago. Now this is going to tell you what happened. So user excluded rights. If you remember back to 7 minutes ago, I removed the right for that account that I set up to delete clients. This is telling us that some rights for the account were removed from this record, and the event was that was inserted. That's kind of database speak there. So if you're looking for what happened into a record in class, this will tell you what happened. And if we click on this link here in the user column, we'll get a bit more information, not a ton of it there. This is not really, it gives you, this is the ID. So again, more database sort of speak stuff there. not getting a ton of information there. Let me see if I can figure out, if I can find one of these ones that has a ton of info. Clearly not that one. Inserted, not that, inserted. Let me try this one. Keep our fingers crossed. If I cut, yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so some of these will have a lot of information in them. Identity type site default. We gave this the site default for the user credentials. I added the username. Contact, I don't know what that means. And so there's a whole bunch of information in here. Essentially, I'm not going to go through all of it. If you are looking for information about what happened to a record in class, this is where you will find it. Now, as we can see here, this record here is a client number. So, as we can see, this client was updated on this date and time by this user. So if you do want to find information in class about what happened to a particular account, you can use these audits to do that. We actually have the audits on the other screens, like the client screen, the services screen, etc. You can use those as well. If you can't find information in there, you may find it in here as well. So that's the, what is that? That's the data audit log. Then we've got the exception log. And I might say that you might want to consider the exception being not using this. And I will show you why in a minute. You're more than welcome to do so if you want to. If you can make sense of this, that would be amazing. I can't do that myself. I can't even make it load seemingly. Apologies for the slowness of class again. I don't know what I can do while we're waiting for that to load. Oh, what is happening? This is not good. Apologies for this. What's happening? I seem to have access to the internet. No. Okay. Let me see what I can do. Okay. Apologies for this. Let's hope that we can get this working. Okay, I'm still logged in. That's good. Now, I was at the audits. Okay, that's good. Okay, and I was going to show you the exception log. It doesn't even seem to want to load. Let's hope that that doesn't crash my class again. Essentially, what this does is that it's mostly for the developers of class, actually. They can use this to find out information that they're looking for. So it doesn't seem to want to load. It looks like it's crashed my class again. That's a shame. I will try to reload this. You might want to go and have a look at it yourself to see what it looks like. Again, if you can make heads or tails of it, that'd be great. I don't know much about anything in there anyway. I would like to have demonstrated it, but I might skip that for now. Okay, shame about that. Audit logs, center configs. This will be pretty quick. It's just adding some basic information about your center. You will probably already have it in there. So this is in the system settings, and at the top of this menu, we've got the center profile. So in here, you can add basic information about your center. So your reporting administrator, you can set them up. And I think can you add that? I don't know. Once you add the account, that will then have the email address. If you want emails, we've just changed this. So if you want to get an email anytime an accountability report is submitted or changed or anything like that, you need to make sure that that reporting administrator is set to the correct account. So here's the name of our center. We don't recommend changing that. Please don't change that. And then your center office details. You can change these if you want. If you change your main phone number or anything, please do that. And your main office contact if that person changes. That would be how you change that information. Again, you've got your addresses. If you move office, you can change that. Documents, again, we've got the document management system. I might skip past that because we don't really want to see that. You can add documents to your center profile if you want to do that. Okay, that's the basic center configuration. If anyone wants any help with that, please contact us at the help desk. Now, email servers. This is where we're at the moment. So if you need help with these, setting these up or editing these, you absolutely definitely contact us, but sometimes we need help with them as well. So we don't really have any experts in this on the ICT team here, but we can try to help you out. Essentially what we'll do, and I'll show you what they look like. Essentially what we'll do is try to get you to copy kind of the basic settings and see if that works. If it doesn't, then we'll go and get someone who can help us set this up so that it does work. Essentially, you have like your protocols there, whatever that might be. You can give it a name, and then these are kind of the main details here, the server information. Send email using user detail for your sender option. Yeah, I think you probably want that. Again, we're not experts, excuse me, on this kind of stuff. Yes, but if you do need help with them, we will help you set these up. And that's what these settings look like for an email server. Okay. Email servers, email logs, records of emails sent by class. Where is it? Okay, so let's duck into the tools. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so now we're starting on the admin tools section after having just gone through a couple of the things in the system settings. I might actually pause again and ask Oliver if we've got any questions about those couple of things that I just went through then.
No, nothing's come through, Sam.
Okay, thanks, Oliver. Okay, so what are we doing again? Oh, email log, of course. Yeah, let me skip that. The email log. So if I click here, this will bring up a record of all of the emails that class has sent for you. There they are. Okay, so as you can see, here's the emails that were sent. This was sent by me on this date and time. The template used was this particular template. It will tell you all this information, who it sent it to. That's the email address that it comes from. Here's your subject, no error, and that was sent correctly. So I'm going to have to go and check my email inbox and delete that. Anyway, if you do want to know whether emails were sent, you can come in here and search for them. You can say, Samuel, you can put in the email address. So, yeah, plus that's my main class account, and you can find out what emails actually were sent to particular people, and it will give you the records of what emails were sent from class if you were looking for that information. Okay, I could just skip down the list now, but I will go through my slides. The message board. Okay, let's have a look at the message board. I'll close that so that we can see our message boards. As soon as we log into class, this is what we get. Here's the one that we send to you, and here's the one that you can set up. If you want to set this up and make an edit to this message board, this is how you would do it. You click on Tools and then Message Board, and you get a basic kind of Word doc editor, and you can make your edits there. It's really not too hard. You just make whatever edits you want, and then you click Save and Close, and that will appear right on the message board. I really need to remember to go and change that back. I'm sure I'll remember that. That didn't work. Anyway. It will, if any of your users log in, that will then be available to them. Okay, the next one is pretty interesting, bulk inserts. Okay, so for anyone who's not aware, bulk insert is a way to enter your information and referral services without having to do them one by one. What you could do is maybe keep a record somewhere, just even on a piece of paper and with a pen or a pencil, or maybe just like a little document you've got on your computer, and every time someone comes in, and you give them an information or you refer them on somewhere, you can just add one, and at the end of the month, you can enter them all into class in one go. It's pretty quick and easy. A couple of things to look out for here. Okay, so the bulk insert system. So here are all the bulk inserts that we've got in our system, and we've done these for the last few years. As you can see, it categorizes them by year and month. So the system works by months. Just you enter them each month, apparently. Okay, so if you want to do a new one, let's start with creating a new one. You click new, and then what you do is you give it your year. Come on, work. You give it the month. What are we? April. Yeah, we're at April 27. Let's just say it's May 1, which is coming up. Just pretending. We'll say we're doing the informations and referrals, or actually you can do information or referrals, or you can do them both at once. For the month of April of this year, you can put a note in if you want. Funding category, you will need to select whether that be kind of generalist, whether it be something actually specific. That's up to you. You will need to tell it what kinds of referrals you're doing. Now, I would be guessing, I'm not 100% certain about this, but I would be guessing that if you're doing warm referrals or facilitated referrals, you probably want the information of that referral that you're doing. So you might enter that one as its own standalone service. You can add facilitated referrals into this if you want, or you can leave it as simple referrals. Okay, now this locked checkbox. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. If you want to actually enter some information into this, you'll need to untick that checkbox. Here's one of the little things to look out for when doing bulk inserts. If you want these numbers to appear in your reports so that you can report them to your funding bodies or just even see them yourselves, you need to make sure that checkbox there is ticked. You then need to save, and then those numbers, the numbers that we're going to enter into this in a minute, they will be available in the reports. If that is unticked, those numbers will not appear in your report. Okay, I'm going to untick that. I'm going to unlock it and then click save. Oh, someone's already done one. Okay, excuse me while I try and find a month that isn't taken up. Okay, that's good, January. Okay, so here's our bulk insert, and you may be asking, where do we add the numbers? I just want to give you a little bit of a warning. The next thing that we see on the screen is going to look a little bit freaky. I remember the first time I saw it, it kind of blew my mind. It's actually not that scary. It can be pretty simple. You could make it as simple or as detailed as you want. But just a little warning, I don't want this to freak you out. So when you do want to enter your numbers, you click on the details tab and you get this massive grid that we are just about to see. I'm really hoping this loads in a second. This is pretty big, so it may take a little while to load. Apologies for that. Let me see if I can get this working. There it is, great, don't need that. Okay, so as I was saying, this is a pretty freaky looking grid. It's actually not that difficult. It can be really simple if you want it to be. So down the rows, we have the problem types. And then across the columns, we have the people that we can refer people to. So what you could do if you wanted to make this really, if you wanted to be really succinct about this, you could say that you referred one person to the police for an abduction problem. I certainly hope not. This is just a demonstration. And as you can see, all the problem types are in here, so that's why this grid is so massive. It's huge, I know. The easy way to do this is to come down and say, for informations only, we can just pop right in the bottom there, other problem type. So for informations, we did 500 informations for a problem type other in the month of January. And then once you click save, those 500 services will be available in your reports. Excuse me. So you could, if you wanted to put your referrals in here as well, like your simple referrals, you can maybe put them in other referrals and other problem type, and say we did 500 of those as well, or however many you have added up. Then once you click save, that'll save those details for you. And as I was saying before, you do need to remember that checkbox, you need to lock this bulk insert again if you want those stats to be present in your reports. Okay, so that's kind of the bulk insert system. The only other thing I could demonstrate to you, this is not working, it's frozen again. Apologies for this. The only other thing I could demonstrate would be that you need to relock this and save that again for those services to be present in your reports. Okay, now we can move on. So that's bulk insert. Printout templates, yes. Hi, Oliver.
Sorry, I just wanted to stop you there because we've got a couple of questions in the chat.
Great.
So first thing was a question about whether you can change the problem types to only the ones your center provides rather than the whole list.
Okay, I'm not sure of the answer to that. I suspect that the problem types should be the ones that are active for your center. Again, I'm not sure of the full answer to that. I could probably look that up pretty quickly though. So if you could get contact details for that person or just that person's name, Oliver, and we might get back to them later with a definitive answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second question was just confirming whether this saves as an information, a referral, or both.
Yep, thanks for the questions. So as I was saying before, you can do both. You can do either. So let me drop back into that grid again. But while it loads, I'll try to explain it. So if you wanted to do just referrals, you could add in the referrals column, anyway, you could add in the referrals column how many referrals you did and save that. If you wanted to do, so we've got other referrals here, and if you wanted to say you did just referrals to whatever place you are referring to, you could do that. If you wanted to add referrals and information services, you could put them both in here like we've done with this one. This takes forever to start scrolling, I don't know why. There it is. So with this particular one, scroll down please. With this particular one, okay, as you can see at the bottom, we had 500 referrals and 500 informations listed. So this particular bulk insert is listing both informations and referrals, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You could do just informations or you could do just the referrals. However, what you want to use it, it's up to you. You're perfectly welcome to use that either way. Any other questions, Oliver?
No, that's all for now.
Great, thanks, Oliver. Okay. Yeah, I like that little emoji. That perfectly represents how I feel about printout templates. I will show you them with the caveat that I'm not an expert in this. We do have an expert on the ICT team. So if you do want to create your own ones of these or edit them, if you need any help with them, contact us and we can get these made for you. Okay, so we've got a few in here, and as you can see, there are some kind of standard ones. This one was set up by the developers of class. Where's one that, here we go. This one here was set up by someone on the ICT team here at CLCs Australia. If I click on that link, that's not actually going to show us the template, just information about it, which you can edit if you like. You can deactivate it if you want, or set it as the default template if you want. I'll close that. If anyone doesn't know what I mean by printout templates, is when you click print on a thing, it's the template that will print for you. So if you want to edit one of these, the editor, again, pretty freaky looking. This is what really blows my mind. I don't know how these work. We do have an expert who does know how they work though, so if you do need help with them, again, please contact us. I'll just wait for that to load so you can see what it looks like and how scary this actually is, rather than bulk inserts, which is actually not too difficult. So as we can see, this is going to load a thing, but we've got a whole bunch of options down this side. We've got a whole bunch of options up here. And then over here, we've got the properties. So here's how, and there it is. So this is what this printout template will print. So it's telling us it'll print the client details as a heading there, and it gets the service ID and prints it in there. It gets, I don't even know what that is, but it gets that and prints it in there. It'll print that client details, and then it'll print this client ID, and then it'll get the client ID and print it in there, and it gets all this stuff and prints it for you. So as you can see, setting those up could be rather complex and time consuming. We've also got all of this sort of stuff. I don't really know how any of this works. You've got the data source on this side. I don't even know if that goes in actions, data, where it goes. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So you can maybe like select something and then you tell it what data you want it to get. So these are really complex. I might skip past these and move on because I'm not an expert and I don't really know how they work. But if you do have any questions about them, please feel free to ask right now. And Oliver can either interrupt me or we can come back to them. But those printout templates are available to you. The next thing is the email templates, and these are the templates that your emails, the emails that send out of class for you. This is what is in those emails and what data is in them. Again, a pretty similar system, I think. This is where you will find them, yeah, and again, let me see if I can find one. No, never mind. I'll just try this one and see if we can have a look at it. That's not it. Well, that is it. This is what the email will get, or that's what will print in the email. How do we actually edit one? See, I don't even know how to use these systems myself. As I was saying, I'm not an expert on these. So if you do want, yeah, okay. So here are our email templates. So you get the details, you map it to something, center report submitted. So this would be an accountability thing. So our email template here that we're editing is copy of center report submitted. So when you submit an accountability report for this particular email template, this is what data that email will have in it. And then this will be the subject line of the email. You can set a sender profile. Actually, I think you need to set that if you want these emails to send. If you're having trouble with these, let us know and we can help you. Again, you can make them active default. And here's the kinds of data that we're getting into our email that we're sending. Again, if that means anything to you, that's great. Not so much for me. But those are the email templates and how they work. Okay, what else have we got? Client mergers. Yes, I like this part of the training for a couple of reasons. Kind of fun for me going over this. It's also, this is pretty serious stuff, the client merge. Okay, let me go and show you what I am talking about. So it's right here at the bottom, client merge. If I click that, we can go through, and what we can do is I'm going to skip over to class and I'm going to go search clients. And I'm also going to hope this works, and I'm going to realize that I should have tested this previously. I should be able to get this to work somehow. So this is search clients. I'm going to go search non-clients as well, or non-clients or whatever it's called, and do the same search. That didn't work. I'm just going to go search non-clients. I'm going to hope there's someone with a common name there. That's not going to work. Let me see if I can find someone. Okay, so let me set this up. I won't be a minute. Okay, so what I'm doing is, let's say that we come into clients and we have a search for a particular client. Then we happen to be looking at non-clients. We do a search and we find out, oh, look, we've got the same client with the same name in here. Then say we start digging a bit deeper and we find out that this client has the same address, the same date of birth, same gender, that kind of stuff. Then we start thinking, yeah, that's the same person, and we've got them in both clients and non-clients, and we don't want that. What you could do is merge those clients. So I'm just going to pause here for a minute because I need to give you a pretty sincere warning before I show you how to do this. Because if you do this and you get it wrong, this process is irreversible. And when I say irreversible, there are a couple of ways to reverse this process. You could go through and manually reverse this process. There are a couple of real problems with that, and I'll go through those a bit later. The other way to get this process reversed would be to contact all 180 other centers and ask them if they would mind having their database rolled back to the date and time just before you merged these clients. I might ask you if you might imagine what you would say to someone if they contacted you and asked you if you would be okay with that, and then ask yourself if you would be comfortable contacting all those centers and asking that question. You could come to us and ask us to do that for you, to contact all the centers and ask them if they'd be cool with that. We're probably not going to do that for you though. We might leave that one to you. Yeah, so I only say this because occasionally we get someone coming to us saying, we know you told us that process was irreversible. Just how irreversible is it? So those are your options. If you do this wrong, those are the two options you have available to you. So we recommend caution when using this system, but it is there for you to use. Okay, so in terms of how to use it, John Smith, I must have a John Smith in clients. I don't know that I do. Jim, that's close enough. Okay, let's pretend that Jim Smith is there, and this is another Jim Smith here. We'll just pretend. Okay, so we've got Jim Smith is C144. So we'll come over to our client merge. So our client one is going to be C144. Actually, all right, never mind. I'll go to non-clients. This is our non-client, Jim Smith, sorry, C518. Let's go back to our client merge. I'm going to put that in as lowercase and put in the correct number. Once I do that, this find client button will activate, and I'll do that. Triage client can't be merged. Okay, I didn't even know that. Okay, so that demonstration was useless. Okay, let's demonstrate exactly how it does work. Let's just say George Smith 243. Where am I? Client merge 243. There we go. Okay, so there we go. Click find client, we get this information. Okay, so here's the names. There may be more information displays in here. We've got our dummy database, which isn't well populated with data. It's all just dummy data, and we just throw in whatever we want. So there's probably more information that appears in this that you're not seeing right now. It does show you the list of services. So as I was saying before, if you wanted to manually undo this process, you could go through and create another client. After you've done this, you could go back and recreate the client, but then you would have to go through and try and figure out which services belong to which client. So yeah, not super ideal. So there really are no good ways to reverse this process, as I have been saying the whole way through. Okay, so if you do want to do it, you can. So you need to select which client you're merging into. So if I select that one, going from the demonstration I used before, which doesn't actually work, of taking a client from non-clients, you can actually do that apparently. What you could do is take this client with the lower number of services and merge them into this client. So when we do this, client 2 here is going to be removed from the system, and all of their services will be moved into this client. Now, here we've got to, anyway, I'll come back to that. There, of course, are the names and addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, all that sort of stuff attached to this client. I believe what happens is that all of that information will also be carried across to this client and stored as additional details. Okay, so if you have found a person who is in your system as a client and they have 2 records and you only want them to have 1, which of course does make sense, you do this, you find your 2 clients, you figure out which one you want to keep and which one you want to remove. And then you tick one of those or click one of those. And then you need to tick this checkbox. As we can see, this button here isn't active. So you need, and I'd recommend reading this, understanding that this merger process is irreversible, like I've been saying. Yeah, when this process is complete, some information from the decommissioned client will be copied and some will be permanently removed. Yeah, so this is kind of recommending that you keep backups of your clients before you do this. In case there is a mistake in the merge process, I can manually update the merged client. So if you have read that, which I really do recommend, you can then tick that checkbox, and if you have gone through this as carefully as possible and you are pretty certain that you are merging the correct clients, you simply click that and then you get your confirmation message there. If you click yes, that will merge those clients for you. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm actually a little bit scared of this system and I don't want to break anything, even though this is just our dummy database. Okay, that's pretty much the client merge system. It's a bit of a process. I might stop and ask if we have any questions right now.
No, nothing's come through.
Okay, thanks, Oliver. It looks like we're running a little bit ahead of time. Let me check what else I've got. Okay, geolocation and retagging, let's go through that. So a bit of background on this. So this is all about making sure your data is as accurate as possible. So I'll flip back over to class and we'll go and have a look at it. Okay, let's close this. Actually, no, I'll go into search services and I will open a service and set up this demonstration for you as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to open a service. Any service will do just for demonstration purposes. So this is a service that we have listed in class. Obviously, it's attached to a client with an unusual name by the looks of it. Anyway, so what we can't see on this client screen, I'm just going to click. No, don't close it. Sorry, a lot. What we can't see on that services screen, what we can't see on there is the address of the client, and it probably wouldn't make sense to be able to see the address of the client on this service screen. Why would you need it? Never mind that. Anyway. Yeah, as we can see, there's no client address listed on this, but in actual fact, we do have the client addresses tagged to the back of all of these services. You can't see it there, but it is connected to that, to all of the services. It's kind of invisible, but it is there, even though you can't see it. So what happens sometimes is that So my classic example I give here is that our client came in for an appointment with their solicitor, and during that appointment, while they were in the office or on the phone or on a video call with us, they mentioned to us that they moved house since their last appointment. So what we do is go into the client, go into additional details, update their address, make it their primary address, and save that. That then updates the client record with that client's new home address. What doesn't happen then is that the addresses in the back of these services won't get changed. And going back to keeping data accurate, we don't want them all changed. The example here is that we've got a client who comes in and gets services regularly, and then they've moved house halfway through this matter that we're dealing with them. And so some of those services that we delivered to that client, whether they be advice services or whatever, will have the correct address. That's the client's old address. But this new service doesn't have the client's correct address. This service will have the old address, not the new one. So the way to update this service with the correct address would be to use this retagging feature. So it's pretty simple. If you want to retag a service, you simply click that. It just gives you some confirmation and you can click yes. You're not doing a lot of damage here if you do this. In fact, what you are doing, excuse me, is ensuring your data is that little bit more correct and accurate. Never mind that. And we like the data to be as accurate as possible here at CLCs Australia. We have some data analysis experts who occasionally go through the data and look at things like locations and whatnot. They could speak to you endlessly about SA 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, mesh blocks, so on, the differences between our things and the Australian Bureau of Statistics things. I'm not going to go into that sort of stuff in great detail, mostly because I don't understand it super well myself. That really is a data analysis or data analyst kind of thing, and that's not really me. Just kind of saying that, yeah, we really like the data to be as accurate as possible. So if you do need to retag any of your services with correct locations, that is how you do it. You use the retag button. Okay, I think we're getting pretty close to the end today. It looks like we're getting a little bit, looks like we're running a little bit early. So I might open this up to questions before I start finishing up. Oliver, anything on the chat line? Any questions there?
No, nothing from the questions.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. Okay, so we're pretty much at the end now, so I'll go through my standard stuff, finding documentation and getting help. So we've got the documentation on our website. I've got a bookmark for it there. If you come over to our website, you can find documentation on all of this stuff. I'm actually logged in there, never mind that. Okay, so if you come to the resources right in the middle of that navigation menu there, wait for the drop-down menu to appear. There it is. We've got class there. You just click on that and we've got a whole bunch of information about class in here. So if you do need to get help, we've got our new help desk portal. There's the link to it there. I'll open that up and show it to you in just a minute. It says please use our new class portal. You can if you want, you don't have to. You can still send us an email. Yes, no, now please use our new email address if you are going to email us to the help desk. We changed it not too long ago. If you've still got the old email address, that one's been decommissioned. You might still get through, but I don't recommend using that email address. That's our new email address for the help desk, icthelp clcs.org.au. It's a nice, easy little email address to remember there. So if you don't want to use the portal, you don't have to. You can just email us. That will work. You can also call us if you just scroll down. Oh, no, that's not on this page. I'll show you that in a minute. I'll show you the portal right now. Once you click over here, this is the portal, and you can ask us questions to the help desk here. So what you can do is ask us something about class, and you can ask us something about account management, just like we've been talking about today. Maybe it's a request for training. Maybe you need to dive a bit deeper into some of these features today. Something like printout templates or email templates, email servers, something like that. If you want help with those, you could ask for training on those particular things. You might just want some clarification on something. You would simply click through to whatever it is you want, and then just fill in whatever forms you want. That will probably have your email address in there if you're logged in, and you give us a description of what your problem is or what you need clarification with, or whatever it is. You then can attach documents or something like that. If you like, you simply click create, and that will come through to us. I'm going to click cancel because that would actually create a ticket on the help desk, and we don't want that. We do support a couple of other systems on the help desk. If you want access to LexisNexis or help with it, let us know about that. The NAS portal, there's general. If you have some feedback for us, or if you need a clarification on something that's not to do with class LexisNexis or the NAS portal, you can get that. Now, if I scroll back to the top, we've got this button here, requests, and as it said at the front, you can have a look at your request there. This may look different to you, or you may not even get this drop-down menu. You can have a look at all of your requests in here. Funnily enough, I don't have any questions for the help desk ongoing at the moment. Let me see if I can find that phone number for you if you would like to call us. So once you come through to the class documentation on our website, you get this menu on the right side of the screen, and in the middle there is help and support. So if you click on that, that will take you through to all of the information for getting help with class or any of those other systems, something else that you need help with. There's a couple of basic things here, why we recommend using Chrome, how to clear your cache. That definitely clears up a lot of issues. If you want to know how to do that, there's some information on it right there. There's our email address again and the class portal again. And then at the very bottom is our phone number if you would like to call us. So that's pretty much how you get help with class if you would like it, or anything else. And this is where the documentation lives. So all of the things that we've been talking about today will be in the admin manual. I think, I'm fairly sure it's all in there. Let me have a quick look. What do we got? Administrators only. So some information on security, and here are the tools here. Yep. Oh, and there's worker and user accounts. So if you do want to read up on any of that information that we've gone through today, if I went through it a little bit too quickly, I hope I haven't. If I have, you could find information here that you could read, whether you want that to be about the email along the message board. If you just want to know quickly, again, if you can't remember next week how to do that, you can find that information there. If you wanted to, and we've got all of that other information. We also have information on our website about our class training sessions. It's at the bottom of that same menu, right there, training. So we've got some general information about the kinds of class training we provide, just like this session on user management and admin tools. All kinds of information there. The class demo site, if you want to read about that, that's where you would find information on that. If you want access to it, let us know. We send login details for the class demo site to anyone who requests it. We encourage people to go there and to try and break it as much as possible, as that will help us to know what needs to be fixed in class. If you want to know what sessions are coming up in the near future. You would click on class training schedule, and that brings us to, funnily enough, the schedule of class training sessions. And here they are. Here's today's one, and we've got the next few ones scheduled in, and we will continue scheduling those in pretty soon. So if you wanted to register for that, or if you have a staff member or a colleague who should be registered for that, you can just have a quick read about what it is, and you can register for the session there. The other thing that we're doing at CLCs Australia is a series of webinars, sector-related webinars, not specifically about class, more to do with the community legal sector. Emergence, Our Stories in the Next Decade is what it's called. And it's a series of events and collaborations last year and this year, leading up to next year's national conference. So this has replaced the national conference, which we couldn't have because of border closures. So we've got a whole bunch of, if you've got an idea for one, let us know. If you've got an idea for a webinar, and you can read up about it if you want. If you want to know what webinars are coming up, they will be under there. You hover over Emergence and then click Webinars. Excuse me. And we'll have a look at what's coming up just really quickly. So we've got a couple of different series of webinars happening at the moment. One is to do with case management systems, class being one of those, CSNet and ActionStep being two others. So there will be demonstrations coming up. CSNet is the first one, and then ActionStep will be demonstrated by people from ActionStep, or the company that makes ActionStep, I think. And you can watch past webinars if you want to. I should have shown you, if you go to the class training schedule, you can watch the videos of our past class training sessions that we've done. I might actually show it really quickly because we've got some good videos on there that I'm quite happy with at the moment. In particular, actually, let me just go back. Our general user and new user session, that is a good video. It's in the vicinity of 2 hours long. It could be a good resource for you. Here it is here. So here's the class training schedule. I hope that's not skipping back again. That looks like it's where, okay. The class training schedule, and you can watch videos of our previous training sessions by clicking on that button there. Yeah, so the general user one is right at the top there. And if you've got new staff members and you need them to know how class works, you can just put them in front of that video for a couple of hours and fry their brains. Anyway, if you need to know any of the functions that are available to you in class, they are all demonstrated in these 10 videos here, including the new features that we just rolled out late last year and this year. They're all demonstrated there. As I was saying before about the printout templates and email templates, we kind of rolled both those terms into this one term, custom templates, and there's a video you could watch there if you want to know more about those. Here's the one for our session today. We haven't done this in quite a few months, so we'll update that video for you, hopefully by the end of the week. Okay then, I might really quickly throw back to Oliver and ask just really quickly if there are any more questions I could answer before we wrap up.
A few things have come through, but I think they're all best followed up by me after the webinar, so I think we're all good.
Thank you very much, Oliver. That's great. Okay, so we will wrap this up. I'll say thanks very much. Thanks for being a part of this. We really like extending, sharing the information that the knowledge that we know about class throughout the sector. We'd like to do this as regularly as we can, or we do like to. We really do hope this helps you. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to contact us at the help desk. we will do our best to answer all of your questions there. Okay, so thanks very much to everyone for attending today's session. A special thanks to Oliver Moore for facilitating this session. And we'll say thank you and bye from Celsius Australia, and have a nice afternoon.